legendary South Jersey sports reporters. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. Big win last night, and about to head up to the cross-country meet of champions in a couple of minutes. So, it's busy this time of year, but it's a good sort of busy. A lot of local athletes doing big things. Yeah,
let's jump right into cross-country. We just had on Brittany Sedberry. Her name's now Brittany Eberson, but former champion from Ocean City. She's training some of these girls. The Weber girl from Ocean City, and obviously Alyssa Aldridge, one of the top contenders. What are you looking for today from the girls' race? Obviously Alyssa was second last year as a freshman to Devin Grisbaum of Ocean City, and she's one of the top contenders along with Brianna Guest from Haddonfield. What are you looking for in that race?
Well, right, you hit the top the top two contenders going into the race right there. Alyssa Aldridge has just had a really magnificent season. It started back in the first or second weekend in September. She won the Cherokee Challenge, and just every Saturday she seemed to go to a big meet and win a big race and do it in the course record time. She's obviously one of the favorites up there today. But I thought, in a story that I had, in talking to her for a story that I did in the paper today about the relationship between Brittany Eberson and Alyssa Aldridge was just, Alyssa said there can be some surprises at the Meet of Champions, and last year I was one of those surprises. Last year she had an excellent season, but she really came from out of nowhere to finish second in that race. So there's a lot of quality runners in the state. It really just depends on who's clicking that day, who's feeling it that day, who has the best day, who comes out on top today in this race.
Let's jump over to football. We're talking with Mike McGarry, the Press of Atlantic City. You and I were both there in Haddonfield last night as Cedar Creek punched their ticket to the sectional final with a 14-9 win over the Bulldogs. Give me some of your impressions on that game last night. Obviously, with an athlete like Bo Melton, you're always in the game. But, I thought their defense really came to play last night. A guy like Abdel Vasquez, Owen Bowles, that defensive front seven, really that was a tough offense to face with Tommy Cater and those guys at Haddonfield.
Yeah, you hit the two things right there again. I'd just say, the Cedar Creek defense deserves a tremendous amount of credit. You look at their playoff run; they were down 20-7 to Collingswood in the second half in the quarterfinals last Saturday, and then they go up to Haddonfield last night, and they're down 9-7. If they crack in the second half of last night's game, if the Cedar Creek defense cracks in either one of those games and allows one more score, Cedar Creek's eliminated from the playoffs. They allow a score last week, and Collingswood's up 27 to 7 or 26-7. They allow a score last night to Haddonfield. Haddonfield's up 16-7, and that game's a two-score game, and that game's over. So you hit it. Abdel Vasquez, Owen Bowles, the Cedar Creek defense. We hear a lot about the Cedar Creek skill position players, but that defense really played a tremendous game on the road last night. And then the second thing is, Bo Melton. I mean, is there a player in the state who's on a better role right now? I don't know if there is one. Cedar Creek has scored 5 touchdowns in the postseason. Bo has scored 4 of them, and he threw a touchdown pass for the other touchdown. And he blocked a field goal, and he's intercepted 2 passes. I mean, if there's a kid playing better in the state playoffs right now, you're going to have to show me who he is, because Bo Melton is on a run. But you don't usually see one guy kind of dominate all 3 aspects of the game in football, especially when you get to this level in the playoffs. But he's in the midst of a tremendous playoff run right now.
We're talking with Mike McGarry of the Press of Atlantic City. Mike, another thing that kind of went a little bit unnoticed last night, I thought anyway, was the play of Amir Mitchell on defense. Obviously he hasn't put up the numbers on offense. He's been getting double covered a lot. He's a recruit for the University of Michigan. Everybody knows about what he can do on offense, but he really brought it on defense, made a lot of tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and really showed he might be the kind of guy that can go either offense or defense at the next level.
Yeah, exactly. The other key thing I thought for Cedar Creek last night, And I wish, in the story, I had gotten today, I had written more about was the play of Isaiah Watson on both defense and offense. Isaiah Watson had a deflected pass from his linebacker spot in the second half there. He was one of those guys in pressuring that Haddonfield quarterback, Tommy Kador. And plus that, he really did some hard running in the second half. Kind of running between the tackles. When Cedar Creek needed, to control the football after Bo Melton, put them up 14-0 with that tremendous, 69-yard touchdown run late in the third quarter. They really turned to Isaiah Watson to kind of grind out some yards between the tackles. So I thought Isaiah Watson, a kid who's kind of been overlooked this season, really played a great game last night for the Pirates.
What about some of these other games that went on last night? Obviously, Williamstown with a big victory, over who they have Cherokee, I guess, in overtime, yeah. And then you had right. West Deptford taking down Buena Regional. Any surprises last night? I guess Williamstown was probably the most exciting game of the night.
Yeah, I think one thing, and I was talking about this with some people on the sidelines last night as the scores came in, and you think it would be logical you'd have great games in South Jersey, semifinals. That's not always the case, but last night you really saw some tremendous games. The Hamilton-Timber Creek game kind of going right down to the final play. Timber Creek, getting better of Hamilton. Buena surprising people by going up to West Deptford and leading that game before kindly getting worn down in the fourth quarter by the West Deptford running game, and when West Deptford beats them. And Bridgeton just, in the, really a tremendous season, a season where, the Cedar Creek guys talked about last night about how, they kind of looked at them as rebuilding after they graduated a lot of seniors last year. Well, Bridgeton hardly brought back anybody. They brought back Marquise Bell and a bunch of guys we know now, but a bunch of guys we didn't know in September. And they win 7 in a row. They get to the South Jersey semifinals. They go up to Shawnee against the two-time defending champions. They take the lead early in that game, and then again, kind of Shawnee wears them down, and it'll be Shawnee-Timber Creek again in the South Jersey Group 4 final. But, that's what really stuck out with me last night was really, how good the games were for South Jersey semifinals. Just a great night of high school football. And like I said, you'd think that would happen automatically in the playoffs, but, it doesn't always happen that way.
What about today? We got St. Joe and Immaculata. Break that down for us real quick. St. Joe, obviously a team that's used to being in these semifinals and advancing to the finals. They had some trouble with Holy Spirit in the first round.
Right. They at first they beat Holy Spirit 13-0 last night. A really great effort by Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit played with a lot of passion and energy. The St. Joe defense played great. The game today with Immaculata, two great programs. St. Joe looking to win their 7th straight state title. Immaculata, one of the big parochial programs from up north, had one losing season since 1977. So that's what you're dealing with up there. To me, this game is simple. St. Joe has got to control the football on the ground. Salam Horn at cornerback, Alam Horn at running back, Quashon Townsend at fullback. St. Joe's got to control the football on the ground and keep the Immaculata offense, and more importantly, quarterback Joe Phelan, who's thrown for more than 2,000 yards and more than 20 touchdowns this season, off the field. St. Joe's kind of been vulnerable to the pass this year. If they can control the football and keep Phelan and his Immaculata offensive teammates off the field, St. Joe has a good shot at advancing and trying to win another state title.
We're talking with Mike McGarry, venerable sports reporter for the Press of Atlantic City. Always does a great job with the high school sports. Mike, we got a few minutes here. I wanted to break down real quick the new, I guess, the tentative alignment for the new West Jersey Football League next year. What are some of your thoughts on that and the Cape Atlantic League teams and how they shook out in their divisions?
Well, I think it pretty much went as expected. Kind of 3 divisions based on enrollment. I think some of the surprises were, based on how teams have performed on the field this year. You see Bridgeton up with the Atlantic Cities and Egg Harbor Townships. You see Cedar Creek up with the Oak Crest and Ocean Cities and Mainlands and St. Joe in that division. So I think the divisions went kind of, as expected. Well, what I'm excited to see is when the crossover games come out in a little bit and see who these teams are going to be crossing over with. Are we going to get some games, that we haven't seen in the past? What are those matchups going to be like? But, and remember, even though the state high school football scene kind of in a state of flux right now, even though these divisions are coming up and the West Jersey planning to go ahead with that 95-team league on the first Monday in December at the NJSA General Membership Meeting. They're going to have that vote whether or not to keep Catholic schools in the league for football with public schools. And if they vote the Catholic schools out, then the whole thing's in chaos. So these divisions look good now, but, there's a vote coming in 3 weeks that could throw the whole thing into chaos, and who knows what will happen then.
How's it going to work with the crossover games? Is that going to be, a certain team gets a crossover game for 2 or 3 years? Or are they going to change every year, or do we not know what the status of those games?
Yeah, what they do is every league in the state, including the West Jersey Football League, goes through like a sort of a reorganization or a rescheduling every 2 years. So you'll have the same division and the same crossover teams for 2016 and 17, and then they'll redo it for 18 and 19. So you'll get those teams every 2 years. One thing I'd like to see them do is I'd like to see them bring back some of the natural rivalries and keep those games. I think everybody would like to see St. Joe and Hamilton come back. I think,
Spirit Atlantic City, those kind of games.
Back. Yeah, keep those games, but keep the ones that were played in the past, like Bridgeton Cumberland. They used to play on Thanksgiving all the time. Bring that game back as a crossover game. Bring back a Wildwood versus Lower Cape May type of game. Bring back St. Joe Hamilton. I think that's what's really, the exciting part is bringing back some rivalry games that maybe disappeared because people left for different conferences and things like that. So, that's the opportunity they have in the with some of the crossover games to really create some games that people want to see and enjoy.
Yeah, I'd like to see those games sort of like at the last weekend of October when you have some time to figure out who's who and really, sometimes you get these Thanksgiving games where one team's in a state final, one team isn't, and it kind of turns into a lopsided affair. So I think that'd be cool to have those like a rivalry weekend, Halloween weekend.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, what you see now with a lot of teams is a lot of teams are taking that Thanksgiving game and sort of turning it into the season opener games. That's another thing. You start the season off with a big, everybody's hyped up for the season, and you see in college football all the time. Sometimes college teams open up with big opponents and stuff like that. So you see, Southern Regional and Central did it this year. They used to play on Thanksgiving. They turn around and play the opening week of the season. I mean, how good or how neat would it be the opening week of the season if Hamilton and St. Joe opened up against each other on a Friday night in Hamilton or a Saturday morning in St. Joe, or Bridgeton Cumberland played, the first weekend of the season, or Lower and Wildwood, played the first weekend of the season. That would really sort of, create excitement and create something, to build on, by starting it off like that and really make the opening week even more special than it is.
Hey, that's why you get the big bucks, man. You come up with these great ideas.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Anybody wants to drop off the check anytime soon.
All right, Mike. Appreciate you taking a few minutes. Have some fun out there across country.
Hey, anytime, Dave. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. That was Mike McGarry, Press of Atlantic City.